Hey guys, welcome to Mitch's Vinyl Corner and thanks for stopping by. I hope everybody had a really good Thanksgiving. I know I did. I'm still really full from eating all the turkey and pumpkin pie and all the snacks and everything. So hopefully everybody had a safe and happy Thanksgiving. So today is the day. I received this box set about a couple hours ago from FedEx. I was supposed to get it on Wednesday, but everybody knows with the holidays and with shipping and everything, uh, tend to get back up a little bit. But happy to have this today. So this is the Rhino Hi-Fi Doors vinyl box set. So all 6 studio albums cut from the original Analouge master tapes with an asterisk, and I'll get to that asterisk here in a little bit, by Kevin Gray at Coherent Audio and pressed at Optimal on 180 gram vinyl. So super excited to have this. So this is going to be a little bit different video that I've done. I'm going to do the unboxing, and then I'm going to spend the next 2 to 3 days listening to each album, writing down some notes, and then coming back in the same video with a review. It's not necessarily going to be a shootout because I actually only own one other Doors album to compare these to, which is LA Woman. So I did have all of the other studio albums on like the red Electro label from the 80s, and I think a couple of them were the Butterfly labels. They were okay. I mean, they sounded fine to me, but a friend of mine, her daughter is getting really into vinyl, and I was looking to upgrade to this box set, so I gave those ones to her so that she can start her vinyl journey. But I already kind of know these are probably definitely going to sound better, so I'm just going to talk about in this video what's in the package and everything. So let's get down to it. All right, so these were limited to 3,000. So my number is, let's see, it's on the back here. Mine is number 1906, so 1906. And I'm sorry for the glare here, guys. I think I'm not the best at lighting, and my room doesn't have the best light either. Maybe once we get this plastic off, it might look a little better. Yeah, there's not that glare. So this is the box set. So if you're familiar with Jim Morrison and the Doors, the Lizard King, so it's actually comes in like this embossed kind of like lizard skin kind of feel to it. It's a really sturdy box, and this thing came packaged very, very well from Rhino, so props to them. So all these were cut at 33 RPM. So do these ones have the Obi? I thought these ones have the Obi. I don't think that these ones have the Obi. As if you're familiar with the other Rhino Hi-Fi sets, they come with the Obi that tells you everything about. But I think specifically for the box set, it doesn't have it. So this is the Doors debut album. So Break On Through, Light My Fire, The End, Crystal Ship. So this was actually cut not from the original Analouge master tapes. So the thing about this album to begin with is that it wasn't a well recorded album. You can watch videos from Mike from the In Groove. I know Michael 45 did one. I think Mazzy did one. Shout out to Mazzy. I think he did one on this too. I think the ERC version of it. But this album to begin with was not very well recorded. It's a classic album. It's one of the best debut albums in rock history, but sound wise, it definitely wasn't recorded well. So I know a lot of people talk about the Monarch presses, the original presses from 1967, the Monarchs. I actually had one that was really beat up. I overpaid for it because, yeah, it was a Monarch, but it did not sound really good. I'm sorry. I know I might get butchered in the comments for saying the Monarch didn't sound good to me on my system, but it just didn't. I think it was just too beat up. I couldn't enjoy it. So I think this is definitely going to be a sonic improvement. So in the context, let's see what it's got in here. Okay, so I think this goes with all of them. So you actually have some notes here. It comes with a little booklet. So here's the master tapes. And you got a little. I think all of these were produced by Bruce Botnick, and he's pretty much the curator of everything The Doors. He was the producer for The Doors' final studio album, and then he pretty much everything that has to do with The Doors, releases or anything like that, Bruce Botnick pretty much has the hand in it. So, and you got the back of the tape too. This is really, really cool. I'm really, really digging this stuff. So you can see kind of like the remarks on here. Okay, so this is the date on the tape that they used was from, looks like September 9th, 1978. So this is made from a safety tape. Now, a safety tape is when they take the master tape and then they make a copy. So that's pretty common practice. Just if, God forbid, something happens to the master tape down the road or within the first cut, say it gets damaged or ruined or something, they have even though it's a generation removed, they still have the closest thing to the master tape to use from then on. So the master tape, the original master tape for this album, still exists, but it is it's in such bad condition that they haven't used it in years. I don't think since 19. So this safety tape was made in 78. So I think the original master tape was still used for the MoFi version, which I think was 1981, and then the DCC version, the Digital Compact Classics, done by Steve Hoffman, I think in 92, in the early 90s. I think that was the last time the original master tapes were used for this debut album. The rest of the albums use the original analog master tapes. And these outer sleeves are really, really good. These are, I don't know if Stoughton did these or not, but they're really, really well made. And this is cool. And on the back of each of these albums, you got the number that was on the box set itself. So that's a really cool touch too. I'm going to have a hard time getting this thing back in, but for the purposes of this video. All right, so it comes in some polyline black inner sleeves, which I'm going to replace these with the Hudson Hi-Fi ones that I have. And this is a good sign, polylined out inner sleeves. It's definitely it's a little dirty, but I have an ultrasonic cleaner, so this shouldn't be an issue. No scratches on it. So I think I watched one or two other videos from people doing the unboxing of this about a day or two ago. I think it was That Shelf maybe that did it. I know some people in the comments on those videos were complaining that they didn't use the original labels on the vinyl itself, like the gold Electra labels. Like, to me, it's not a big deal to me. It's about the music. I mean, when it gets down to it. But they have the Rhino High Fidelity labels on it, which I think add a pretty cool touch to it. I'm really digging the red and the black. So yeah, you can see in the dead wax, and can't show you on here, but you probably won't be able to see it. But yep, KPG, so Kevin Gray, so it's mastered by him. I'll put these in later on. All right, so we got the next one. We got Strange Days. Now, use the original master tapes for this one. So the same thing here. At the little essay. I think these are all done again by Bruce Botnick and the surviving members of the Doors, which is Robbie Krieger and John Densmore. So again, the master tape. At least the front and the back of the master tape. I think this is a really, really cool touch. I think with all the Rhino Hi-Fis, even the individual ones that they're doing, I think all their titles so far, they have the little booklet where it shows you the master tapes itself, which I think is pretty cool. So again, with this one, you got the Strange Days, People Were Strange, When the Music's Over, which is a really good song too. So Strange Days is another great album. Waiting for the Sun, you got Love Street on here, Hello, I Love You. Celebration of the Lizard. Yeah, you can kind of hear that. I don't know if you heard that crack when I opened it. That's how you know you got a good jacket. So as I was saying before, it's not really going to be a shootout because I have really nothing else to shoot these out to minus LA Woman. Although I will, when I come back and do the sound quality portion of this video, I will talk about the differences I saw, or not saw, I heard doing the LA Woman shootout. Because I have an original 1971, I think, Pittman pressing. So one of the better, if not the best, probably of the original versions. Again, the master tapes on the back, a little essay, little liner notes. Now, Soft Parade. Now, I think this is the weakest of this of all of their studio albums. And it's not terrible by any means. They used a lot of orchestra, a lot of horns on this one. It kind of really detracted from their really bluesy earlier stuff. So, definitely not my favorite one. This is definitely on the bottom when it comes to, I think, their studio albums. Just in my opinion, still got some good tunes on here, but definitely probably their weakest studio album. All right, same thing here. These are just so cool. I'm a nerd for this kind of stuff. Where they put the master tapes and everything in. Oh, this one actually has another one. Oh, that's pretty cool. I guess the original inners, I think that was in the original release. That's pretty cool. Again, off camera, I'll put all the extras back in because I don't want to ruin the jackets. Now, Morrison Hotel. Now, this is getting back to form. This is definitely my second favorite album of the Doors. LA Woman's my number one. So you got awesome tracks on here. You got Peace Frog, you got Roadhouse Blues. It's really killer, down and dirty blues, just the way I like it. So I think this one they actually do. Yeah, side one is Morrison Hotel, and side two is Morrison Hotel, and then side one is Hard Rock Cafe. Yeah, these jackets are definitely really well made, but they are a pain to get these things back in. I'm going to have to work on those a little bit later. Morrison Hotel, first generation, original stereo master. Get the liner notes. Now, I showed you all these before. Now, these are the original labels from when they were originally released. Those are the little nitpicky things that people were freaking out about, like why didn't they use the original labels? It's like, to me, it's not a deal breaker with that. I mean, Rhino Hi-Fi is spending the money, doing the time. They want to put their own spin on it. I'm totally fine with that. Is there anything in the back of this? No. Now, my favorite Doors album is LA Woman. So with this one, on the original release, and I'll put a picture up of it. Mine didn't have it when I have it. The one that I have was my father-in-law's. He bought it when it originally came out. So the original one had like this, I think like this see-through kind of like gatefold that kind of went over it, and it was kind of when you pulled it out, the band members would I'll put a picture up of it. So again, people were like, well, why didn't they recreate the original one? But again, people would just find anything to bitch about. Yeah, these are really, really heavy duty jackets. So this one has mine has this one too. This little inner sleeve. Yeah, you can see on a lot of these too, you'll see a lot of markings on the side of them from every time that the master tape went out to go get cut or done for some other project throughout the years. So they got different dates on them. So I think that's pretty cool as well. Again, the Final Doors album featuring Jim Morrison. I think they actually did the surviving members, the three. I think did two after L.A. Woman, obviously without Jim Morrison because he died in 1971. So, but overall, I'm really, really impressed with these. I can't wait to sit down and actually listen to these. I've been waiting all week. Again, yeah, I think all of these are going to be a little dirty, but nothing. I don't see any scratches on them or anything, which is a good sign. Buying something high quality, you expect high quality, right? You you pay a premium and you expect high quality, so this is definitely high quality. Again, I'll run these all through my Humming Guru ultrasonic cleaner just once, just do a quick wash on them, just get some of that dirt off. Again, records aren't made in a place where they do like computer chips and hospital equipment, so there's dust everywhere, so it's going to be a little bit dirty. Again, I'll show you this now. Again, sorry for the glares, guys. Not the best cameraman. I'm still learning this thing, so. But again, really impressed with the packaging, and I bet Kevin Gray did a killer job on these sonically. So I'm going to end this part of the video here. I'm going to spend the next 2 to 3 days listening to these albums, and I'll come back and give you my thoughts on them. So see you guys in a little bit. All right, guys, it is now Sunday, and I just finished up listening to all 6 of these albums. So on Friday, I listened to the first 3 albums, and this afternoon, I just finished up the last 3 albums, and I did a little comparison. I didn't do a whole album comparison of my original LA Woman. I just picked a couple tracks to compare it with this version of LA Woman. So before I get into the sound quality, I did want to mention that there are other versions out there that you can get in case you miss out on this box set, or you just didn't want to get it and wait for the individual ones that are going to come out through Rhino High Fidelity, I believe in January or February. So you do have the originals, which, depending on condition, can range from pretty cheap to pretty expensive. You also have the Analog Productions versions that are cut at 45 RPM, and they were done by Doug Sachs. So different mastering engineer equipment. So it could sound different. I don't know. I can't tell you because I don't have any of them. However, I've heard that they sound great. They're still available at Acoustic Sounds. I think all 6 titles are still available, and they're $60. So these are 33 and those are 45. So 45 RPM, you can get a lot more clarity out of the music. You can get better separation because you're not cramming all of the songs onto one side of an album. But I think maybe the disadvantage of having the 45 RPMs, you have to get up twice as much to flip the record, and it might mess with the flow of the music. Now, I do have 45 RPM versions of some of my albums in here, and I definitely I enjoy them. I don't feel like they take away from the music flow, in particular with those particular titles, but something like The Doors, it could for a lot of people. So that might be a reason why people have stayed away from the Analog Productions versions. Was about to go buy all of them on the 45 RPM versions, but I heard that this was coming out, so I had to get it. Overall, with sound quality, I think they sound absolutely amazing. Kevin Gray is probably the best mastering engineer around today. There's Ryan K. Smith, there's Bernie Grundman, there's definitely other mastering engineers that I definitely respect and have a lot of their albums that were done by them. They are phenomenal mastering engineers. However, I feel that Kevin Gray personally is the best mastering engineer out there. All of these albums sounded incredible. The best that I had ever heard them. From my listening experience, listening to them on the old reissues that I had that I recently gave away, listening to them on high resolution digital files. I don't think anything comes close to this, in my personal opinion. But I did want to mention and bring up the debut album. So I felt like this was the only, I don't want to say disappointment, because I still very much enjoyed this album for the music. However, I feel like the sound quality on the original, given that it was done from a safety tape, which is a generation or so removed, and it's been used for a very, very, very long time, so wear and tear and things like that, given with what Kevin Gray had to work with using that tape, I think he did a phenomenal job. However, I feel like there was something lacking on side A of this album. I felt like the instruments were pushed back a little bit. Jim's voice was pushed back. It wasn't as upfront and dynamic as I wanted it to be. And I didn't know if it was my system or anything, because after I played the first side, I was like, damn, the music's good, but I'm like, I felt like there was some oomph, missing from it. So I flipped it on the second side and played side B, and it was a total different experience. I don't know what happened, but side B definitely opened up a lot better. The end, the very last song on side B, was the best I ever heard. Like, it was creepy to hear in a good way. It was probably the best version of that song I'd ever heard. So again, given with what Kevin had to work with, I think he did a phenomenal job. Now, I've never heard an original good sounding Monarch. The Monarch that I had was in such bad shape, I couldn't enjoy it, and so I don't think that that's fair to compare that one to. However, it just felt like on side one, I'm like, man, there's some oomph still in there, but it's just not being present. And that's just to my ears, right? I mean, you can leave it in the comments that you don't know what you're talking about, you're talking out of your ass. Hey, feel free. This is just how I've listened to this album, and that's kind of what I felt on side A. But side B was definitely an improvement, and I very much enjoyed it. Very much enjoyed the album overall. I'd give it 4 out of 5. And again, given with what Kevin had to work with using a safety tape that's been probably used to death since the 70s, he definitely did the best that he could. So I'm actually going to be looking for a DCC copy to compare this to, because, again, I'm not going to go search for good sounding Monarchs, because one, they're going to be really expensive for a good, clean sounding one. And the DCC versions that were the last time that the master tapes were used in the 90s, and they were cut by Steve Hoffman and Kevin Gray, I feel like that's the closest thing that I could probably get to an original without searching for one extensively on eBay and them probably being overpriced. But the DCC is not cheap either. It is a couple $100. However, I really want to get a copy eventually to compare it to this, and just kind of hear the differences that I've been reading about for years, about how good the DCC copy is compared to everything else. So stay tuned for a video in the future if I can get my hands on one at a reasonable price, and I'll do a comparison with this one. So the next 4 albums sounded so good, especially Morrison Hotel. As soon as I dropped the needle on side one and Roadhouse Blues started kicking in, I mean, it just sounded so damn good. I mean, the first four or the next four after this were just so good. I'm just gonna leave it at that. You won't be disappointed if you get these versions. They sound so damn good. Now I did a little shootout with my original Pittman pressing of LA Woman compared to this one. As much as I love that original version and it's sentimental to me because it was my father-in-law's, this version wipes the floor with it. And I say that more so because that version was lacking the bass. This had all the bass and all the oomph to really make it just rock out and be a really good listening experience. Now, my original version, my original copy of it, is no slouch either. It's very good. It was very clean, so there's really no. It's a really good. It's a the condition of it is very good. At least VG plus plus. But again, I think in the dynamics department, it lacked compared to this. So this is the best version I've ever heard of. Heard of LA Woman. Now I know there's a lot of people out there again that say the 45 RPM Analog Productions is the definitive version of LA Woman. I know Mike from the In Groove did a video on it because that's his favorite Doors album too. A lot of people have raved about it. I probably will get a copy of that eventually because it is still available, $60. That's a reasonable price. I think I'm going to buy that and do another shootout with this version and see how it compares. I think that would be pretty fun, and I think you guys would probably enjoy that. So overall, I am so happy that I bought this box set. I am particularly not a box set person per se. However, if it's original studio albums from a band that I really like, especially the Doors, of course I had to buy it. Again, if you missed out on this, don't worry about it. All of these albums are going to be coming out individually within the next couple of months, so you'll be able to get your hands on them. So, again, really happy with this, and I hope that you all enjoyed this review. I know I did. It was really fun sitting down over this weekend, just kicking back, relaxing, and listening to the Doors. So stay tuned for future videos. So thank you all for stopping by, and I'll see you all next time.